Every time I've seen like a study, I'm just about to tell you. Do you want me to answer, or do you want to keep rambling about the anecdotes you have? You can do that if you want.
Well, give me the data. Hold on. When you say they should be controlling, what does that mean?
I think the lead attorney is going to come in later, and he's going to say like,
I don't know. I think you got me pegged wrong.
Video debunking: dads getting custody when asking for it.
Dads get custody when they ask for it. They simply just get it if they simply ask.
Nobody said they simply ask. Why would you take such a bad faith? Obviously, it's something that you fight over in family court.
I'm sure you've all heard this popularized myth by now. It sure is interesting how one small group of people can take one small survey done in one small county, manipulate the ever-living shit out of those numbers, and then propagate one of the biggest lies about
Was it a small survey? I had a really hard time finding data on this. The only study that I found was from Massachusetts, and it is old. I do admit it's old. 1990 was the published date on this. So the surveys and everything are probably from before. However, I don't believe this was small. How many people did they ultimately... I want to say they looked back decades through family court cases for this. This was the only actual published research I could find on this topic. We began our investigation of child custody where I have a common perception that there is a bias in favor of women in these decisions. Our research contradicts this perception. Although mothers more frequently get primary physical custody of children following divorce, this practice does not reflect bias, but rather the agreement of the parties and the fact that in most families, mothers have been the primary caregivers of children. Fathers who actively seek custody obtain either primary or joint physical custody over 70% of the time. Reports indicate, however, that in some cases, perceptions of gender bias may discourage fathers from seeking custody, and stereotypes about fathers may sometimes affect case outcomes. In general, evidence suggests that the courts hold higher standards for mothers than fathers in custody determinations. Oh God, I don't know if they go over in here like how many cases they actually looked at. I don't think this was just a small survey though.
Fathers in family court I have ever heard. People who honestly believe that fathers can simply walk into the courtroom and just get custody when they ask usually are citing the exact same singular study done, and the arguments usually sound a little bit like this.
Pearl is right, dude. She has facts to prove it. I mean, sure, that could be one explanation. I mean, it's not like you would comment on a video where I call somebody out for using false made-up statistics by using false made-up statistics, right? that would be embarrassing. That would be really, really embarrassing. You should be embarrassed. It comes from the 1986 gender bias study of the court system in Massachusetts.
It's the only one that ever was.
Oh, okay, gotcha. This is the only one that I could find.
Look at how often fathers saw custody. What they found, as the section heading says, is that men won custody over 70% of the time. So all comments like this actually prove is that you don't do any research of your
custody or joint custody, not sole custody, but
you don't care whether what the things you say are true, and you get upset when you encounter people who are not as gullible as you.
Oh, ex-patriarch, you're not claiming dads simply get custody when they ask for it again, are you? I mean, you wouldn't take one singular study that was based only on temporary custody orders in a minority state where joint custody is the standard temporary order, where the study still definitively concludes that mothers get sole physical custody 65% more often than dads, only to cherry pick the facts so that only your narrative is supported, then push this as some irrefutable nationwide fact, would you? Because that would be really embarrassing. You should be embarrassed. See, that same Massachusetts study that you're trying to quote, you left a lot of stuff out. It's just convenient that when trying to demonstrate how easily fathers get custody, you happen to leave out the part of this study that found that mothers are awarded sole custody at 65% the rate that fathers are at. The part of this study that found that mothers are awarded sole custody at 65.
The rate at which mothers' request for sole custody was honored. The rate at which... Wait, why is this not in here? Oh, she's not even quoting the study. She's quoting somebody else's... I don't know. Let's see if we can find it. Let's see. Sole custody. These trends were apparent in the earlier study of a sample of 500 Middlesex County cases filed between 78 and 81. Fathers had sought sole custody in about 8% of cases. They received sole custody in 41% of those cases and joint custody in 38%. Wait, what does this mean here? Does this mean that is this additive? So does that mean that in 79% of cases, the fathers had either sole or joint custody? That's what that means, right? In 5% of the cases, custody went to someone other than a parent. In instances in which fathers sought sole custody, mothers received sole custody in only 15% of those cases. Jeez. In instances in which fathers sought sole custody, when fathers were fighting for sole custody, mothers got sole custody only 15% of the time. Okay. Damn, that's a good quote. Thank you. I should have pulled that out earlier. Okay. These statistics may be a surprise to many. They are, however, consistent with findings in other states. Oh, shit. A study of court records. Oh, I should have read further into this. This is a lot of reading, but a study of court records in Los Angeles County, California in 1977 found that fathers who sought sole custody obtained it in 63% of their cases, up from a success rate of 37% in 1972. Wiseman, this is a 1985 study. Oof. A nationwide survey of all reported appellate decisions in child custody cases in 1982 found that fathers obtained custody in 51% of cases, up from an estimated 10% in 1980. That is a massive jump in 2 years. That's suspect. I'd be interested in reading more into that. That jump is way too high. 40 points in 2 years? The inappropriate use or presumption of permanent shared legal custody, inappropriate awards of shared legal custody adversely affect women. Where is she pulling this from? Wait, where is she getting this from? The rate at which mothers' requests for sole custody were honored is 65% higher than the comparable rate for fathers' requests. I don't even know what this stat means. Further demonstrating the race and studies includes child supports following statement. Oh, he's creating a new statement. I will further demonstrate that the very same data from which this 70% claim was derived also supports the following statement. This lady is retarded. Does she think that that statement comes from the study, but it doesn't? It sounds like a guy read the study on his own and he came up with a different interpretation. That's what it sounds like she's saying.
Immutable nationwide fact, would you? Because that would be really embarrassing. You should be embarrassed. See, that same Massachusetts study that you're trying to quote, you left a lot of stuff out. It's just convenient that when trying to demonstrate how easily fathers get custody, you happen to leave out the part of this study that found that mothers are awarded sole custody.
So that wasn't a part of the study. She's what would you say, academically illiterate? Which is fine, but damn, you can't be academically illiterate and then be smug about your academic literacy.
At 65%, the rate that fathers are asking the exact...
Because she's claiming that number comes from this study, and it doesn't. It comes from somebody else's analysis and reinterpretation of it. Destiny, this is where she got it from. Jesus Christ. In quote-unquote soft sciences like sociology, it's more difficult to detect manipulation of research than in hard sciences like physics. I'm sorry. He lost me at the very first sentence. I might go back and reread that later, but my guess is that guy has nothing of value to say about this.
Same thing. I have no idea how ex-patriarch has ended up on the ethers of trying to impress mom talk, but either way, he's decided he's going to pander to these bitter women by ham-fisting delicious misinformation down their bitter man-hating gullets. And me? I'm just here to debunk these garbage claims. Let's take a look at this study where we found that men get custody when they simply ask. Now, this study was performed out of Massachusetts, one of only 11 states that offers joint temporary legal custody between parents. So for this state, the law is that men do get custody when they ask for it temporarily, which is untrue for all 39 other states. Every single other state in this country is a sole custody state, meaning you would never be able to replicate these results in any of those other states.
Okay, then why not find some research that backs you up? That's all you have to do. Is she just going to give like a whole well, it probably wouldn't work this way and it'd probably be this way, or it probably why not just former political prisoner from Iran, want to chat about some political topics, specifically blue pill? Maybe. Why do we care about this woman? I don't know. Somebody linked me this, like she was debunking a talking point of mine.
Of course more men are getting custody in Massachusetts because it's actually the law there. So if you like those results, guess what? You're on our side. You're on the side of equal shared parenting because we're the ones pushing for equal shared parenting in all 50 states so that fathers can get the custody they deserve. The only way to get the results that you like bragging about is through equal shared parenting. Next, to understand...
By the way, if you're curious why so many of these red pill guys are fighting on this point, the reason why a lot of them push that men should be able to have like automatic shared custody of children is because they just want to get out of paying child support. 1,000,000%. That is literally stop, the entire fucking reason. Just if you're ever curious why they fight so hard on this fucking issue.
How these numbers even got so warped this way, we have to understand who conducted this study and why. You also have to ask who funded it. So interestingly enough, the woman who was assigned to collect this data for this study was never told that it was going to be used for a gender bias study. In fact, she was very surprised to learn that it was. She was only told to collect information on temporary court order decisions.
Is that even necessarily wrong? If you're pulling information from a database or you're asking somebody to collect information, would you necessarily tell them the hypothesis for your study? I don't know if that's necessarily a wrong thing. Is that bad?
With lawyers and judges having a lot to gain from removing the skepticism of gender bias from the courtrooms, as well as convincing men, traditionally the higher earners, that they actually have a shot in court, it sounds like they kind of already decided the results of the survey before it was even conducted. First, let's examine...
She's illiterate. Why am I watching this?
That the survey only covers fathers who get legal custody, leaving out completely the fathers who are denied physical custody. Why is that important? Because there's a huge difference between legal custody and physical custody. Legal custody simply means you have to pay child support. Physical custody means you actually get to see your child. So this study basically demonstrates, sure, there's a lot of fathers entering the system. That doesn't mean that anyone's letting these fathers around their kids. Finally, this study only...
None of the red pillars you asked said they'd rather take care of their kids in their free time than give out some of their money. I'm surprised they'd be so concerned with child support than they'd risk being burdened with their children. What? Okay.
Looks at temporary orders granted at the initial divorce filing. This isn't terribly useful considering most custody agreements get modified later on. An author named Mark Rosenthal actually published an entire paper debunking these numbers. Rosenthal demonstrates every way in which the Massachusetts Supreme Judicial Court warped the numbers marvelously and found that when you actually look at the full findings, the reality is that when mothers seek sole custody, they get primary physical custody between 73.8% and 95% of the time. So in conclusion, the study that conclusively finds that men are definitely awarded custody 70% of the time was A, only based off of temporary orders, B, in a state where temporary orders are the standard at the divorce filing, and C, still ultimately demonstrates that moms are still getting the majority of the custody that they ask for, unlike fathers. But men like ex-patriarchs still want to argue there's no bias against fathers. Right. In fact, let's take some more personal anecdotes outside of Massachusetts, starting with my own. My husband found out he was going to become a dad in his early 20s with a girl he wasn't even seriously dating at the time, and he gave up his job, left his friends, family, everything he knew to move 250 miles to be as close to his son as he could. He was as available as possible, had no issues providing, no substance abuse issues, no mistreatment of the mother. He filed for custody and was denied. Why? Because Michigan, like most states, unlike Massachusetts, is a sole custody state. In these states, when an unmarried mother has a child, she has what's called natural guardianship, meaning she is awarded sole physical and legal custody straight out of birth. And if my husband wants to get any custody, he's going to have to prove that she's unfit. Well, she has what's called natural, is a sole custody state.
Wait, hold on. Did she say they were unmarried?
Because Michigan, like most states, unlike Massachusetts, is a sole custody state. In these states, when an unmarried mother has a child...
Oh, well, looks like we found a good reason to get married, boys.
She has what's called natural guardianship, meaning she is...
Shouldn't that be the case? If a woman has a child and she's unmarried, shouldn't she naturally have full custody of the child? That feels like it would be a normal thing, an ordinary thing, no? Like, I would imagine so. If the couple's on good terms, then they can easily have like a normal custody arrangement or not even figure out a formal one. But if you, if you're unmarried, like if you're not married, I don't know why you would just automatically assume out the gate that the man has like equal access to the child. That wouldn't have to be something to be more specifically doled out.
Is awarded sole physical and legal custody straight out of birth. And if my husband wants to get any custody, he's going to have to prove that she's unfit. Well, both parents are fit. Apparently the state of...
Well, hold on. But that's what she's saying right there is not true. If he wants any custody, he has to prove that she's unfit. Wrong. That's if he wants custody that he wants to fight about in court. You can have a joint arrangement for custody, no problem, if the mother's fine with it. But if the mother's not fine with it, then yeah, the father has to fight in court. But it sounds like that should probably, why should he pay child support by that logic? Because the child needs funding and because he got the woman pregnant, so it's half his kid that he has to fund. But just because you have to pay child support doesn't mean you're also entitled to custody of the child.
If Michigan doesn't think that a child can have two fit parents, and if so, that they only need one of them. In cases where guardian ad litems are involved, a position that is very rarely filled by anyone with an actual background in law, psychology, or social work, reasons for...
That's an insane take. Okay, hold on. I'll give a quick thing on this, and then I don't want to talk about it because it is so uncomfortable stepping into the delusional red pill reality where for some reason, especially because so many of you guys know it, you just won't accept the fact that there's a lot of deadbeat loser dads that knock a woman up, leave her life, never pay a dime in child support, never see their kid a single time in their lives. That's a fact. That's most deadbeat dads. This weird red pill delusion, this emotionalized position where, oh no, like all of these deadbeat dads, they desperately want to see their kids. They really want to be involved in their lives. They're just the moms came out. You guys are fucking losers. You're actually out of your fucking mind. I don't know how you got hoodwinked, especially by black red pillars in black communities where deadbeat dads are an epidemic, are some of the worst things happen in kids' lives. You guys have deluded yourselves into this world where it's like, oh my God, all these horrible mothers hoarding their kids, trying to keep their poor innocent father. You guys are just delusional. So like even spending time arguing here feels fucking retarded. Like more retarded than any progressive trans talking point I've ever had to argue with. It is the most retarded thing in the world. Sorry, absolutely true. If a woman has a kid and the father and the mom are not formally married, in the eyes of the state has no idea if there's even a relationship that exists there. The state doesn't know if you're dating a woman. You don't go down to a courthouse and say, by the way, Your Honor, that's my girlfriend, okay? They might not even put your name on the birth certificate if you're not married as the father. Sometimes they won't even do that at the hospital. Probably varies by state, probably varies by hospital. But they might not even put your name on the birth certificate, or your last name on the birth certificate for the child if you're not there and if the mother doesn't allow it and blah, blah, blah. If you have a child out of wedlock, then it seems natural that the child would go 100% to the mom in terms of custody because the state has no idea what the father's involvement is with the child's life, which is fine. Now, if the mom and dad want to share custody of the kid or whatever, that's fine too. If they're dating, if they've got a good relationship, everything's fine, then they'll just do that. It'll be natural. Like, boom, it'll happen, right? I don't think me and Rachel ever... We might have worked out a formal custody agreement for really complicated health insurance reasons for our cancer stuff, but like otherwise, like we don't have we don't fight about custody in fucking court, right? Which, by the way, 90% of couples don't fight about custody in court. It is rare that you go to court to fight about custody. 91% of relationships don't even go to court to figure out their custody arrangements. But yeah, there's nothing wrong with assuming that the mother has default custody of the child because in the state's eyes, they have no idea what the mother-father relationship is like. So it makes sense of you give it to the mother is sharing it with the father, that's fine. If they're dating or whatever, then that works. Yeah, but in terms of oh, well then why is the father entitled to pay child support? Because you knocked up the mom and now it's your financial responsibility. You can abdicate social responsibility of the child. You cannot abdicate financial responsibility for the child. But if you and the mother are on good terms, it's not like she's going to sue you for child support while you guys are living with each other, raising your fucking kid. Destiny, so the mom gets 100% custody and authority, but the man is 50% responsible financially. LOL. If your mom and dad have you as a kid, if you go to the hospital, you have the kid, dad's name is on the birth certificate, you go home, the mom is not going to be filing a child support order where you guys are living together. That's not going to happen. So the parents would probably have shared or joint custody. Makes sense. And the man's not paying child support with the kid that he's living with. You guys are in some delusional woman-hating land where you think that women are crawling out of their childbirthing beds over to the courthouse to try to get a child support order. It's 12 hours out of the fucking womb while the dad is in the hospital watching their kid. The reality is that most of these fucking dads that are gone are deadbeat fucking loser dads that never want to see their kids, never end up paying a dime of fucking child support. Less than 50% of women even get the full child support that they're owed, okay? Miss me with that deadbeat dad shit. Miss me with that. Oh no, all of these dads wanted to be involved in the kid's life. They all wanted to pay child support. They all wanted to do everything, but the moms wouldn't let them. It's such a delusional take. I can't believe that you guys but I mean, most of you guys eat these delusional takes and these red pillars that are complete, that's why in the next breath, I guess you say shit oh, women like to be cheated on. They actually enjoy the competition. Holy shit.
Denying custody have been as simple as because the child is young and belongs with their mom. Or what about this one? Dad actually does get custody, but mom convinces a judge that she can't find work here, so she needs to move to Canada. She's a graphic designer, by the way. Funny how the judge wasn't really listening to her argument until dad ran out of money and had to start representing himself. Suddenly, it made a ton of sense. Or what about the dad who agreed that he would watch the child during the day while mom took over at nights because of their work schedules, only for her to document this for an entire year, bring it to the courts, then get full custody because overnights is all it's based off of. What's so annoying is that these white knight men like ex-patriarch are the first ones to point out, rightfully, that laws against women...
Okay, I don't care. We're good. Jesus Christ. The most likely thing is the father wasn't on the birth certificate? Sure, probably. I think generally, if you're at the hospital, I could be wrong, but I think this is how it was in my case. If you're at the hospital, they'll usually just put you on the birth certificate with their dad, even if you're not married. That's how it worked with me. Even though technically Rachel didn't want me on the birth certificate, but they did it anyway because I wanted to watch my kid get born, which is kind of funny, but that's why Nathan is my last name, even though you probably shouldn't, but... It sounded like you were talking about all dads in general at first, deadbeat or not. It sounded like you were saying if you're unmarried, it should still be 100% under the mother's custody, regardless of the status of the dad. Legally, yeah, but who has the custody won't matter if you're both living together and you're both raising the child. It's not a very relevant... Destiny, you've lost a lot of people that awful take. Good, bye, leave. I don't care. If you the crazy world that you guys live in where women are these child support hunting demons, you'll realize in 5 or 10 years that I'm right and it's time to move on from this weird caricature you have of the modern Western woman that's just trying to f guys, steal child support and get alimony. It's a delusional take that has zero foundation in reality whatsoever. I think actually I'm probably going to spend, because now I've started to dig into some of the divorce shit, and I feel like every single thing that Red Pillers say on divorce is also wrong. But I'm probably going to take a day off stream before the Red Pill debate on Sosnick's show, I think on the 2nd, and I'm probably going to compile everything on that. But like a lot, but it's funny too, because like I shouldn't even have to appeal to, this is one of those cases where I shouldn't even have to appeal to data. I should actually just be able to say like, well guys, let's just look in the real world at what happens, which is a dumb argument, but I know, but you guys usually do that. This idea that all these dads just desperately want to be involved in their kids' lives, but the moms are just keeping them out, is such a fucking wildly retarded fucking take. Like, you've never met a single mom before, you've never seen any of these broke communities before, you've never and again, especially because some of these people come from black communities. Like, how many of these moms are like, oh yeah, like I'm so glad that his baby daddy ran out and now I don't get child support and I never wanted his dad to be involved. Like, it's such a wild fucking take to me. It's such a wild, stupid take. Do you think eventually the amount of deadbeat retard dads will go down enough? Well, that issue has probably fallen as more children are born out of wedlock by parents that just live together, but they're not actually like married to each other, right? What if you aren't living together but still want to see your kid and you have a bad relationship with the mom? Why is it bad to legally protect those dads? When did I say it's bad to legally protect those dads? You should be able to fight then for some kind of joint custody arrangement. Sure. I don't think there's any problem with that. If the parents have a bad relationship with each other, there should still be a way to arrange joint custody, whether you figure that out on your own or you go to court to figure that out because you can't figure it out on your own. You're just arguing for the default. Yes, I'm arguing for default status of custody with nobody fighting for it, sure. And I'm pretty sure that when you, well, now I don't know because of that Massachusetts study. My understanding is that there is a small amount of bias shown towards women in family courts, but I don't even know if that's true, actually. That's just something I've heard so many times. I might have just absorbed that into my ethos. It might not actually be true at all. Oh, hey, what's up, buddy?
Oh, hey, I was just listening to your discussion about dads being deadbeats.
Gotcha.
And
what's up?
Kids' life. It's okay, you can keep the same energy. I think when you're spazzing out, it's good. So you can do it.
Thanks, I like screaming about things.
Okay, I do feel like you were strawmanning the thing. I don't think anybody here is saying, or maybe I'm unaware. I don't think people are saying all the men who are not in their children's lives are as a result of the women or the mother not being there. But
that is the default red pill position. If you want to take a different position, that's fine. But the default position that these people argue is that women are maliciously getting sole custody for the express intent of hiding kids from their fathers so that they can collect child support. Have you ever seen the movie Liar Liar?
Okay, I hear what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just don't think that's true. And if you can link me or you can prove that that's the red pill position, then I'll acquiesce. I've just never heard that. I've heard them talk about.
I'll try to ask on the next show that I go. But like, for instance, the last time that this isn't directly related, but the last time Melina was on that show with MLD, I think him and Adam agreed that the main reason men aren't getting married is because they're scared of getting fucked in divorce or something. Like just a wildly retarded fucking statement.
Yeah, that's a stupid statement. I would say that a lot of men are worried about the upsides or the downsides, but I don't think that's the main reason or the only reason that men are not.
I don't think it's a major contributing reason to more than 5% of relationships. In fact, maybe 1% of a guy being like, I really want to get married to this woman, I love her, but I'm scared about getting fucked in divorce.
Sure, I would agree.
Brian said this 500 times last night too. Yeah, I would have to go find a specific quote. I don't know if I've asked them a specific question, but I'm pretty sure that they'll say that, yeah, the main reason, they would say this is what I imagine, like Myron and most people would say, the main reason, or Pearl, the main reason why fathers don't see their kids after a breakup is because women are keeping the kids from the father so that they can collect child support. That is the main reason, or 50% of cases why it's happening. That would be my guess. I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, good for me, but the way they talk about it, that's how it feels they're saying it constantly.
Okay, so maybe that's not what I'm hearing, I think just the fact that women do have control of the situation. Maybe some people are alleging that it's just for the financial benefits, but that's not been what I've heard when people have concerns about this. And it's not been all I've heard when I've heard red pillars speak about it. They've spoken at length about the fact that when women are in control, they can be tyrannical in regards to how they control stuff because they are the one who has sole custody generally, and so they have a lot more say in how things go down. And this is going to be completely anecdotal. I have no numbers to back this up. But in my own personal life, heard enough situations where fathers want to be involved in the children's lives and the mothers make it very difficult, or because they have complete control over the situation, oftentimes they let their relationship with the father supersede what's in the best interest of the child. And that can actually go both ways. The issue at hand with this is that you have two people who contributed to a child existing, and they have a lot of tensions between each other. Why? Because they're no longer together. There's probably a variety of reasons why they're not. And they're not able to always put the child first. And so what ends up happening is that relationship is strained. And because the mother has sole custody, it's just a lot easier for the father to be cut out of the life of the kid. And that maliciousness that can exist between the couple can go beyond just, oh, you're talking shit to the child. It can even go to the point where you can deny the father on a lot of legal grounds. And so that is something that I hear red pillars decry. That is something that I know to be true in real life in a lot of situations. And so, yeah.
Sure, and that's great, but I can't argue against your stories. The reality is what I would put money on is the vast majority of times where over 70% of where a man is being completely excluded from his child life, it's because he's a dog shit person. That would be my take. Over 75% of the time. I'm sure there are cases, these one-offs, where women are being malicious with a child or trying to control it, blah, 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 blah. But my guess is that the fathers more often than not are dog shit human beings or terrible parents. That'd be my guess. They either do bad shit with the kid, they don't bring the kid back on time, they're picking them up at inappropriate times and doing things with them that the moms agree they're not supposed to, and they're not winning court orders because even a judge looks at it and says, no, this guy's not a responsible caretaker. Again, I agree with you. I'm sure there are stories where it happens and it's sad when it does, but I don't think we can make the mistake of taking those single stories and blowing that out to the entire population. I disagree with that. But
okay, so
like I said,
no, hold on. Where are you getting your data for the fact that they're late when they bring their kids back? They're late or they're irresponsible.
Every time I've seen a study.
I'm
just about to tell you. Do you want me to answer, or do you want to keep rambling about the anecdotes you have? You can do that if you want.
Well, give me the data.
Okay, on every single study I've ever seen published, which to be fair is 2 or 3, it seems to be the case that when men fight for custody for their children, they're awarded sole or joint custody over 50% of the time. I think 70% was the big one from the Massachusetts paper that I read. I've never in my life seen data showing that fathers fight for custody and lose consistently. I've only ever seen that written on legal websites from people that sell divorce services to men. I've never seen that in a study anywhere.
Sorry, repeat that last part where they fight for custody?
If a man chooses to fight for custody for their child, it seems like in the majority of those cases, they win sole or joint custody. That seems to be the case. I've never, ever seen... I've heard a lot of sad stories from Pearl and everybody else, but I've never seen it published anywhere otherwise.
Just pull all this stuff up. Okay, but just to be clear, the whole part about them being late or them being deadbeats or whatever, you have no proof to back that up, right? There's no... just to be clear.
Well, I mean, the proof would be in the court orders. Technically, you would need the proof. If the father is not able to win custody at all, then it means that a judge has said you don't get custody because you don't deserve it. Now you're telling me that I guess all those judges are biased. So technically, the onus, the burden of proof there is on you. It would be like me saying, look, this guy lost 10 civil cases in a row for petty theft or whatever. Now, and then you're saying, oh well, I don't think he stole anything, and then it's telling me to prove it. I mean, the courts are siding with me right now. Now you're saying, and a lot of red pill people say that the courts are unfair, whatever, which is fine, but you have to substantiate that now at that point.
Okay, and do you think, earlier you said something along the lines of, if they're unmarried, because the courts have no way of guaranteeing who, the father's involvement in the relationship or whatever, that the woman should get sole custody, right? What is your justification for that beyond just...
Yeah, on paper, if you're not married to a woman and she has a child, in the state's eyes, there is no person present. I don't even know how you would begin to make a person present. So it seems like the default sole custody of the child would go to the woman. That seems okay for me. I don't know why you would default give it to both parents when the state has no idea if the father is involved in that relationship or not. If you want to have a kid, you should probably get married. That's probably one of the benefits of marriage there, is proving that you're married to the woman who's having a kid and you both get custody.
Well, but in a situation where two parents are not married, okay, and you're trying to assess who's more fit to be the parent or who's meant to have custody? Why is it that it should default to the woman? What
because
makes
the woman is absolutely having the kid. She's there and having the kid. You'd have no guarantee that the father's there. The woman is definitely there.
But it's not just about having the kid. It's about being the responsible parent who has the best aptitudes to be able to raise a child. Why is it the default position that a female is better?
It's not that the female is better. It's just that the female is there and has the kid. The state has no idea if the man is present for that child. Whereas the woman definitely is. The woman can still lose custody. I mean, child protective service and everything can take custody from a woman, but it's
incredibly rare. Generally, the courts don't like doing that for a variety of reasons. But my question to you is: you're saying, well, we don't know the father's there, but if we're saying that the father is there and does want to have the custody of the child, why is the default position like if he's present?
If he's present, well, wait, if the father's present and they're at the hospital, his name will go on the birth certificate. They probably do just have joint custody then.
Is that the automatic default position?
That's my understanding of it. That's what I remember the hospital, but it's been 12 years. So, but I'm pretty sure as long as you're there in the room, they'll put your name on the birth certificate, and then I think you automatically have joint custody.
Okay.
That's by default, assuming the father's there. But otherwise, I'm just saying that, like, let's say the woman is a child. Like, who would the state, like, in the eyes of the state, how would they even know who to give the other custody to, right? Unless the mom just states a name, I guess. But then she could theoretically just put anybody's number. There's one of the reasons why getting married before having kids is probably good from a paperwork standpoint.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, listen, I'd probably look up the numbers and then we could have this conversation at full length at a different time. This whole idea that most of the men who are not involved in these children's lives are all deadbeats.
I didn't say all, but I said, oh, you said most. Yeah, I do think it's most. Do you think it's not most?
Either. I don't know, to be honest with you.
Okay.
I wouldn't fight the charge. I'm not going to say it's not true because I don't know the actual numbers. I've just heard so many stories of the opposite in my own personal life that I just don't necessarily believe that. And
wait, so most of the stories you hear of parents with no access to their fathers, most of those stories are the fathers desperately want to be involved, but the mothers are finding ways to keep them out of it?
If they're not keeping them out of it, the way that they go about the relationship is incredibly controlling or divisive.
Okay, when you say that word, that doesn't mean, when you say controlling, the mother should be controlling. It's their child, right? I would imagine that it's going to be controlling. But
hold on. When you say they should be controlling, what does that fucking mean? If that's also my child and the mother dictates what kind of clothes my kid wears, what kind of haircuts they get, what kind of relationship they're gonna have with my grandparents or whatever the fuck it is, no, that's not actually a relationship that I would want to foster. Yes, you should have some control, but it shouldn't be something that feels tyrannical. If it's my child and the woman I'm dealing with across from me is being unreasonable and incredibly aggressive all the time about every decision in relation to my child, yeah, that's probably not a relationship that I want to continue.
I agree with that. Unreasonable and uncontrollably aggressive, I agree. But when you just say like controlling, like, I mean, the mom has to have the kid back at a certain point, especially if the father's only getting the kid on weekends or something, it would make sense that the mother is quite controlling, of course.
Obviously, when I say controlling, I'm not talking about some reasonable thing where everyone keeps to their actual agreements. When I say controlling, that has a negative connotation. We both agree, no? When someone's controlling, we don't mean like, oh, they like to assert their boundaries. When you say someone's controlling, we're basically trying to say that they're exerting a certain level of dominance that's outside of what's normally permissible or correct. We agree?
Yeah, I guess, but I feel like I could hear that statement from somebody saying like, "Oh, the mom is so controlling," when it's a guy that's just like fucking around, like he's not taking his kid back on time, or he's doing things with the kid outside of like what the mother would ideally want for the kid to be done. But we're just on like anecdote ground.
Yeah, I think that now we're getting into the weeds of it. I don't want to do that. I think this is an interesting conversation. I'm not mad at you for pushing back. And if what you're saying is true about the narratives that red pillars are speaking about, yeah, I'm not. Because I know plenty of deadbeats also who exist in society who don't want to be involved in their children's lives, just want to foster kids. We cover those people on social media. They want to fuck around, then responsibilities come around and they bail. But the opposite side of that is very true. And I don't know if the numbers reflect that. I don't know if the numbers reflect dudes who are actually fighting to be in their kids' lives and are being cut out of them. I don't know if they do.
Well, the numbers reflect that like over 90% of people don't even go to court to fight for a custody arrangement. Like, because people always say like mothers get custody like some huge percentage of the time. Over 90% of deals aren't even fought about in court. So most people don't even bother fighting. Now, I think the lead attorney is going to come in later and he's going to say like, oh, well, men don't fight because they think they're going to lose or whatever, which there's no way for either of us to prove that number. But the vast majority of the time, people settle this outside of court. It's pretty rare that you're even fighting in front of a judge over custody agreements. So like...
Absolutely. And I know plenty of people who do handle this outside of the court, but they do have the sentiment that you just described from lead attorney, which is like, how am I even going to win this? And also the idea of like hiring a lawyer and how incredibly expensive it is. Not people have the socioeconomic background to even go through that kind of fight, legally speaking. So you already have a court system that favors women in this regards for valid reasons, whatever. But if you're telling fathers, well, if you want, you can just take it to court and fight it. It's like not everyone has the aptitudes or the financial backing to be able to even do that. You recognize
sure,
that, right?
That's fine.
And
Okay,
that's true for the black men who were
fine.
meant
That's
to be-
fine. But the exact same people are then going to say that every single woman suddenly has massive aptitude when it comes to hiring a lawyer for divorce court. It doesn't make sense. It can't be that every woman is a fucking genius with access to unlimited funds to hire divorce lawyers, but dads can't hire a $2,000 attorney to fight for their kids. I don't know what the actual retainer would be, but
the divorce stuff is so dumb because most of the people that we're talking about when it comes to child custody issues are poor people. So neither side of them are going to be able to hire lawyers to do this stuff. So when red pillars go on and on about, or you're going to get raped in divorce courts, like, no, most people who get divorces don't lose money or don't lose a bunch of shit. That's just rich people issues or like higher upper middle class.
Yeah,
when
I
we're
agree.
talking about average person, that's not an issue. But when you're saying, well, they can just fight in court and get custody of their kids, like, no, most poor people would never even consider really going to court like that and getting the finances together because that sounds exhausting, expensive, and also a losing battle. That is a fact. The idea that these people are going to just fight for custody and get winning, I don't know. To me, I just don't believe that to be true. But again, I don't have the numbers in front of me, so I think I'm arguing uselessly right now. So I'll look into it and we can have that discussion. But I am curious to hear what the lead attorney has to say. I don't think you are, though.
well, I already know everything he's going to say, but I mean, I'll listen. I'll hear him out. But he should. I think he's coming in a few minutes. But
Okay.
we can write down his points. It's going to be that men don't fight because they're scared. That courts are really biased in favor of moms. It'll be those 2 points. It'll be men don't have the financial resources to fight for custody, and a lot of moms use kids as like pawns for or whatever. It's going to be these. I mean, he's a guy that literally represents men in like these types of battles. So of course, all of his clients are going to be people that follow these types of stories.
True. And I also think your own personal experience has been fairly positive. It sounds like whatever.
Yeah, but I'm not arguing from my personal experience. I'm just arguing from. Technically, my personal experience is negative because I get dinged for even when I. Wait,
Sorry.
I'm trying to think of what I can say legally or not. I'm pretty sure this is way in the past, so any statute of limitations is past. Even when I had joint custody of Nathan, I'm pretty sure on paper I had no custody because the way that Rachel's health insurance had to work for her cancer medication, we had to do some wild contrived shit. Otherwise, she was gonna die from lymphoma. But like, I'm pretty sure on paper, technically I got quote unquote fucked because I think she had 100% legal custody of Nathan, even when I was seeing him Monday through Friday or whatever from school, just because the health insurance shit was fucking wild. But yeah, those cancer medications were like $2,000 a fucking pill.
So wait, let me ask. So if she technically had full custody throughout the whole time, you guys didn't go through the legal process. Hypothetical, but let's say she changes her mind, says she doesn't want to involve you in that. Do you think it'd be okay for you to not be allowed to be involved in the child's life because she says, well, he was never involved, technically speaking? Do you think that would be an acceptable outcome in this situation?
No, I would go to court and I would fight it.
Okay. Fair. Well, at the end of the day, I think it's great that you guys do have that agreement. So that's good that overall it seems to have worked out.
Sure.
But yeah, I'll let you talk to the lead and welcome back stateside. Cheers. I'll let you guys do your thing.
Okay.
Salute, Albert. How are you doing? Hey, Destiny. Albert, you've been lighting it up, man. I've been loving seeing your videos on all this stuff. It's been amazing.
Man, how does it feel seeing all these red pillars being outed as like woman abusers and everything? How does that feel for you?
Man. It's not looking good. And listen, let me say, I know a lot of people put me in the manosphere. I was listening to Destiny when I was driving back home. He was like, I already know what Lee's going to say. He's going to say this. He's going to say that.
Yep.
He represents men, right? People paint you in these corners without giving you the proper nuance. So
well, to be fair, I think you have actually said these things all in my stream before. That's typically what's going on because we've talked about this in the past, but...
Well, I don't know. I think you got me pegged wrong. Like, maybe you have me in the manosphere. I did a video 2 years ago basically announcing that I'm leaving the manosphere. And a lot of people got upset about that. But I saw the handwriting on the wall. Mm-hmm. Things have been changed. It's like, yeah.
You saw Tate. You saw Tate being like, yo, look at these red pill dorks. And you're like, I don't want to be in this.
No. Listen, that video that I did was like 2 years ago. I think I did it in 2021, so that was way before. Tate. But I do make men-centric content. I absolutely do that. I do it unapologetically. There's a lot of things that men need to understand about the system. Men need to understand about women.
Okay, now, well, I think right now you guys are probably going to discuss like the whole deadbeat dad stuff. But yo, Destiny, did you see that picture I sent you?
Oh,
bro, the MLD stuff gets so much worse.
Jesus. Wait, have you done a video on any of these?
I haven't done on the latest stuff. I'll probably just cover it in the Myron stuff. But,
my God.
Bro, the stuff that these people write is crazy.
Yeah.
You don't think that women should endure things?
Yeah, that's a lot to endure that's being typed in here.
MLD was saying he was looking forward to the day that women get graped in the streets and guys like us just walk past sipping lattes.
Yeah, Jesus.
What?
Yeah. It gets worse, man. Like, honestly, it's just. But anyways, I'll let you guys do your thing.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I enjoyed listening to the rant that you were. I don't know, I'm not using that word with any bad connotations.
No, that's okay. Use it with the worst. My source of rants. Yeah. Okay. What's up?
I just thought it was pretty interesting, but I would like to discuss this, and I always like having these conversations with people who are, number one, not in the space, not really doing men's content, and it seems. Specifically now, there's a lot of pushback on people who do men's content, whether you want to call them channels that are men-centric, channels that are red pill, channels that are within the manosphere. And it seems to me, even when you rant, it seems a little bit that you were minimizing some of the things that men go through. That some of the things that men talk about in these men-centric channels is overblown, that it's exaggerated, or sometimes even that it's non-existent. So I wanted to kind of delve into that a little bit and to see exactly what you thought was overblown and exaggerated.
Sure. So if you're hearing me fight against red pillars, I'm going to come off as probably being anti-man, I guess, depending on the claims that they're making, because I do believe that they make some extreme claims. And then if you see me fighting against like rabid feminists, I might come off as like being anti-feminist, or I might be coming off as more female supportive. It just depends on the, or more man supportive. It's going to depend on which claims I'm addressing at any particular point in time. I'm just going to ramble off a couple of things that I believe to be true, and then a couple statements that red pillars make, and you can tell me if you think I'm right or wrong. Okay. So the first point is that I'm aware of is the vast majority of custody cases are solved outside of court. Do you agree with that? I think the number that I saw was 90.5%. So most people figure out their custody interests without ever going in front of a judge.
Here's what I would say to that. There are different ways to get your cases resolved without going before a judge. So for example, let's say that you are married and you decide to file for divorce, and your wife says, "Okay, well, fine, we can do this. We don't even need an attorney. You're smart. You can draft up all the paperwork, and we'll consent on a custodial arrangement." Right? That might be seen as not going to trial before a court. Right?
Yeah.
Now, another situation, which is probably more common, is that you and your wife, y'all get into a divorce and things are heated because y'all don't like each other. So each one of y'all goes and hires attorneys, and y'all are fighting in the beginning. But the attorney's fees start to mount up. So one of you says, "Well, hey, let's go to mediation." And you guys go to mediation. You kind of see the handwriting on the wall, so you agree to some custodial arrangement. And that's not going before a court. There are cases, and I've been a part on both sides, where let's say that you have a child and you're fighting for custody. You guys go to mediation, it doesn't work, or mediation isn't required in the place that you live, and you guys are fighting. And there's some type of guardian ad litem, there's some type of judicial officer that's assigned that says, "Hey, I'm going to investigate this situation with your daughter," let's say, and I'm going to give a recommendation as to who should get custody. And the guardian ad litem, or this court officer, does all these investigations, quote unquote, and then sides with the mom. And your attorney says, "Well, listen, we kind of lost the recommendation. We can go to court, and it might cost you an extra $30,000, $35,000, but this judge in particular kind of rubber stamps the recommendations of the guardian ad litem." And so you say, "Well, fine, go ahead and try to get me as much visitation as you can." And then you guys enter into a settlement agreement there. Even that case, where it was highly litigated, you guys spent thousands of dollars.
Hold on, just on a real quick thing, just 'cause I'm trying to catch, because I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. So first of all, hold on, that number that you just cited, what do you think is the average cost for like a child custody lawyer? Like if you're fighting for custody for a kid?
Yeah, it's going to depend on a lot of things, but basically it's going to depend on your location. So an attorney in Silicon Valley is going to charge more than an attorney in Montgomery. So it's kind of like real estate when you say, what's the average cost of a house? I'm sure there's an average cost somewhere, but that specific number might not exist anywhere. So I would say an attorney fighting charge anywhere from...
I was just going to say, because that $20,000 figure that you cited, that sounds like if you're going like the full 9 yards, you're like doing trial court in front of like the fucking judge and like hardcore. That sounds like it'd be on the upper end. My guess would be there.
No. And again, it'll depend on your county. Maybe if you're in Selma, that 20,000 is kind of high. But if you're in a place where your attorney's charging, $400 an hour, $500 an hour, $800 an hour, it's going to skyrocket. You're not going to see anything.
I might be like totally clueless, and I admit that. And maybe family law is a lot different than defamation law. But when I was shopping around for pretty high priced attorneys for doing some of my defamation cases, I don't think I ever saw $800 an hour. Like $600 an hour was some of the upper ones. And these were for major law firms. For the international tax accountant that I've got from Molina's international tax law stuff, I don't think I ever saw a number $800 an hour. Now, I'm not saying that's not possible. That sounds really, really, really high to me though. $800 an hour?
It's super high, just as the money, the amount that I quoted you, the $150 an hour, that's super low. So these are kind of on the extremes.
Okay.
I would say if you're looking for something in the middle, probably, $300 to $450.
Okay.
Somewhere around there, $300 or $450 an hour. That adds up so quickly. And you have to remember that if you come to me, Destiny, for let's say you have a son, and you're fighting your case, you have to pay me, right? But then you also, I'm going to say, hey, listen, the woman, I know, Destiny, you kind of waffled a little bit on whether there's even a small amount of bias that judges have towards women. Fair, I suppose, but anybody that's been working in the system absolutely knows that there's a bias.
Sure, and defense lawyers will tell you that, criminal defense laws are too strong, and prosecutors will tell you that of course, anybody in the system is going to have very strong opinions about the system. That doesn't mean their opinions are right or wrong, right?
No, just because if what you're saying is correct, then people who represent mothers would say, no, the judges have a strong bias for fathers. So what you're saying is not true. No one. Wait, so
I'm just curious. If I were to go and shop around for lawyers that represent moms for child support cases, you don't think any of them would say I think that the judge can be unfavorable, supporting fathers at points? You don't think any of them would ever say that?
He's a strong word. I would say out of 1,000 attorneys that you ask, 995 would say that there's no bias towards fathers.
Okay.
Exactly right. So not none, because you can find some stupid attorneys, but effectively none.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Okay, so backing all the way up to the original question. So I guess instead of saying solved outside of court, since you're giving me extra court mediation proceedings that could be solved that aren't technically court, what I was getting at was that it seems like the vast majority of custody cases are solved amicably. That people agree to a custody arrangement, and that's fine for the vast majority of cases, over 80% of cases. Do you disagree with this or no?
I disagree with the word amicably. I would agree that there's a settlement. So many settlements are not amicable. So many settlements are because there's really no other option. You agree to it, but that's because it's your best option, but that's not because you're happy about the agreement.
Okay, can I don't normally do this, but you're an educated man, and we obviously have a disagreement on fact. Can you point me to any place where I can read that? Because I've never seen that ever, substantiated outside of legal blogs or a website where somebody's trying to sell services to men saying that the courts are unfair and blah, blah, blah. I've never seen this quantified anywhere, that most divorces that most child custody things are fought over. Very few of them are amicably settled.
We're fighting over the word amicably. So there's going to be no study that satisfies you on the definition of amicable.
Well, then how can either of us make the claim? All I can do is look at how many people fight these cases in court, or how many people fight, I guess, through mediation. My assumption would be is that if the vast majority, 90%, don't fight in court, that the majority of these are some sort of amicable agreement where both sides have agreed to something. It might not be perfect, I guess. Maybe both sides want full custody and they get joint custody or something. But that, or no, not even actually, I'm sorry, because it's solved outside of court. So they're just, yeah.
Throwing me off is your use of the word amicable. I think we could probably reach more of an agreement if you just took out that word. Do the vast majority of cases end in a settlement? Absolutely. Absolutely.
Well, because it's important, because it plays into the narrative, that the main narrative that I fight on the red pill side is the claim that's made over and over again. And I don't know if you agree with this, but the claim that's made over and over again is that the majority, so over 50% of cases where men are not involved in their children's lives, they desperately want to be, but evil moms are keeping them from doing so because they're trying to collect child support. Or they have other like personal problems with the father. And I that's a claim that's made over and over and over and over again, but I've never seen that in any paper or any study or anything ever, or like a collection of cases ever. I hear that story.
Yeah, and I really want to talk to you about this, and you're going to find this conversation, lacking. But we have to talk about these studies. And I know if you're not in the courtroom, if you're not actually doing the work, then the only way that you're going to be able to have an opinion on this is by looking at what Google says or ChatGPT says about these studies. Even if the studies are from 1985, even if the studies are from 1990, like some of the studies that you were using. But
to be clear, the only reason I'm using that research is it's the only thing I can find, but I've never seen anybody contradict it. So I mean, that's all I've got to go on right now. But
exactly, and that's what I want to talk to you about, because I don't want to say, hey, don't use studies that are 40 years old, because then you're going to be like, well, I can't. How am I supposed to express an opinion on this at all if I can't use? Yeah, shout out to Metaverse, the 1498 study, right? How can I not do this? Some of the stuff that you're asking for, Destiny, either the studies do not exist, or the studies. And we can debate about this if you want to send me a particular study, but I'm just going to say that there's no way you can reliably confide in that study. So, for example, if there's a study that shows, how many women cheat on their husbands. You take a 40-year-old study that shows that tries to demonstrate the percentage of women that cheat on their husbands. I'm going to tell you that there's no way that study can be accurate, because women will lie and men will lie too. Fine, but I'm talking about women in this example. I mean,
so then do we just throw out like every single soft science because so much of the data is self-reported? Do we just say that none of that?
Oh, Destiny, now you're kind of putting a straw man type of thing. You're saying every single study and every single... I don't know.
Well, no, I clarified. Study. I said specifically studies that rely on self-reporting, because it sounds like you're telling me that like people could lie on studies. So anything involving self-reported data has to be not believed.
No, but can't be given as much weight as a scientific study. If you have a scientific study where you can test the chemical makeup of water, it's H2O, and you don't have to worry about Karen, lying or trying to self-soothe or giving some false answer. Yes, Karen studies should be given less weight than the scientific study of the composition of water.
Wait,
yes.
What studies?
If there's a study, Destiny, about what the composition of water is, then that study, and it's a scientific study and double blind.
Oh no, I'm sorry. I didn't know if you said Karen study or if I misheard you.
I did say Karen study.
Okay,
I was just saying, because I referred to a study about why Karen cheated on her husband, let's say. If you are relying on what Karen is telling you, what Karen is telling some stranger over the phone about why she cheated on her husband, I'm telling you that Karen's information should be given less weight than the information that a scientist, multiple scientists, are going to be able to extract from a study that's peer-reviewed about nature, about hard elements.
Well, just to be clear, there are peer-reviewed sociological studies that have self-reported data, right? Like all of these studies that have self-reported data are peer-reviewed. Like that's part of collecting data from people.
I understand, and sometimes these studies they're made with the same impetus that you say about, hey, well, this is all that we have. We're just going to believe what Karen says. But I've represented so many Karens. I see people, I see how they lie. That's the thing. You guys that are not in this, you guys don't talk to these people. And, to your point, you say, well, lead represents men, so, he's got some type of bias, or maybe we can impute some type of bias to him. I tell people on my channel all the time, I'm a part of the fucking problem. Because not only do I represent men, but I represent women. And I have taken men's children under this system, right? I'm being absolutely fair. What lawyers are, the vast majority of us, I mean, we're just hired guns. We're mercenaries, all right? So I'm letting you guys know that, hey, I don't have a bias in this, but I have seen these things. So what I'm trying to tell you is if you had hard evidence, well, here's what I'm going to say. If you have studies, these studies need to be analyzed and they need to be given a certain weight, okay?
Yeah, I agree with that. But
Okay.
that's why I say, even on stream, I said this a lot. I said this like 20 times. I said, finding data on this is hard. I couldn't find anything more recent. And here's a study from 1990. And it's only from Massachusetts. So that's right. Okay, so I'll qualify that. Now, if somebody wants to challenge me and say, well, this data is out of date, it wasn't a national survey, different laws can be different areas, so it's kind of weak data, I'd be like, okay, sure, that's true. Can you find me anything different? If there's nothing on the other side, then I'm probably going to slightly side with the shoddy-ish, I shouldn't even say shoddy study, with the older study, rather than assuming and I'm definitely going to fight against the insane characterizations on the other side, that the majority of dads, and then I'll lean anecdotally hardcore into that, the majority of dads that have nothing to do with their children's lives, I don't think the majority of them are well-meaning fathers that are trying to do their best, that are getting destroyed by evil, vindictive mothers. They probably are people that just hit it and quit it, or people that just don't want to, you can't be fucked. That'd be my guess.
I'm not sure. I don't know who's making these arguments that the majority of men can't be involved in their children's lives. All right, so I'm not sure who's
the majority of men that aren't involved in the I can ask specifically these. I'll ask this question if people want me to give people on record saying it. This is my guess. Okay, do you think? My question would be: do you think? Or hold on. What percentage of men without custody of their children are fit to have it and want it, but are being denied because the mother is malicious and only wants to collect child support? My guess is that a red pillar will say over 50% of the time. That's how they talk about these issues, is that over 50% of the time that's the case.
Okay. Well,
my guess is in the real world, that number is probably less than 5% of the time. That's probably an exceptional circumstance where the mother is being exceptionally shitty, but I think most moms probably want the dads to be involved in their children's lives.
I mean, here's the thing, and this is because I've just been doing this for 20 years. When you say the majority of women want the fathers to be involved in their children's lives, I mean, that could absolutely be yes, but the word is involved. What does involved mean? Guys, let me tell you, one of the hardest things to get from, and this is, if a woman has 3 kids, she's super liberal most of the time about the visitation with the dad, especially if they're married, not married, it doesn't matter. If she got 3 kids, she's been down this road. If you take a woman and it's her first fucking kid, and the kid is an infant, so many times this woman does not want the father to have a reasonable amount of, I'll use your word, involvement. I've had so many women that'll say, hey, well, I don't mind if he sees the kid, but he can't take the kid overnight. And he needs to have quote unquote visitation, while I'm there. I need to supervise the visitation.
Sure, I can understand that, but don't you think, isn't that kind of understandable?
No. It's understandable, but it's not acceptable. This kid, this 8-month-old kid came out of the man's ball
wait.
sack.
Hold on. First of all, no, kids do not come out of our ball sack. Number one. Number two, I'm sorry, 8 months old, I would agree with you that that's unreasonable. I'm sorry, when you say infant, I don't know how young you're necessarily talking there. But I would never imagine fighting custody so that I could take a 4-week child over to my house exclusively from the mom. I don't think I would even want to do that. That sounds cruel and unusual to me. But if you're talking 8 months, I think that, yeah, of course, the father should be able to take that child if he wants for a weekend or a week or whatever the custody arrangements are. But yeah.
Well, that's fine. I assure you that so many women do not agree with you.
Okay, that's fine. But then again, I would need to see you acknowledge that you're involved in the worst of these, right? Because you're an attorney, by definition, you're seeing like the worst people at their worst, right?
A lot of times I'm seeing people at their worst.
Yeah.
A lot of times, and this is not people don't talk about this as well. You know, a lot of these divorces are super. They're fine.
Yeah.
No, I have had couples that come in my office and that they come in together, the husband and the wife, and they say, hey, we just want to hire you. We know what we want to do. We want to draw up the papers. We've got everything worked out. And I'll sit there, we'll draw up the paperwork, and then that'll be that. Now, this you don't hear about these types of cases because, you know, there's no blood in the water in these cases. These cases aren't exciting. There's a lot of cases like that.
Sure, probably the vast majority of divorces, I would imagine. Like over 80% of divorces are probably settled. I would use that word amicably. I don't know if you'd...
Oh my gosh. Yeah, we're not going to do this amicably.
Okay.
But yes, most cases are settled, but the fact that a case is settled does not mean to me that it's settled amicably. It's just not. Sometimes men agree to things because men don't have a lot of choice. You know, and this is what these studies might not tell you, Destiny, or there's no studies. There's no study on what good men, well, let's say good attorneys do all the time. Do you know what we do? We tell men not to fight for custody, right? You're not going to find a study on that. There's so many studies that should exist. So many studies that would give you information that you would need to know.
Wait, why would you tell the person not to? It's not like you're doing a contingency case. Why would you say don't bother? Like, how do you make money?
Well, that's exactly right. That's why I say the good attorneys do this and not the bad ones.
Well, that sounds like if the good attorneys are doing this because they've got a steady stream of business anyway, so they're just taking cases where...
Oh, you're so wrong. You don't understand how attorneys make money.
Okay, hold on. I'm sorry. Tell me how attorneys make money. Because every attorney that I've ever talked to, if they think they can get money, they'll take the case on a contingency fee. If they don't think so, I've had attorneys tell me, listen, if you want, we can go as far as you want. This is my hourly rate. I don't think you'll win, but I'll take your case. I've never had an attorney say, like, I definitely don't want to pursue this because the likelihood is low. Somebody might be uncomfortable with a particular case. I've heard that before. But I've never had an attorney tell me, sorry, I don't think you'll win, so I'm not going to do it. But my experience is also limited. I don't know. Maybe you tell me, but... I mean, when you tell me how do attorneys make money, my understanding is they make money by charging hourly rates to do contingency cases or getting paid by the state for whatever things. But maybe there's a different way that I haven't heard of.
Yeah, you know, for contingency cases, number one, we have to take that off the table because contingency cases are not a thing in divorce court.
Yeah.
All right.
Wait, hold on. Is that true?
Yes. In most states, it's actually illegal. You can't have a financial interest like that, like a contingency case in a family law case. That's exactly right.
Okay, interesting. Gotcha.
Now, what? Here's the thing. In the vast majority of cases, men are not going to win, let's say, full custody or primary custody of these cases. They're not going to win primary custody of their kids. Many men want primary custody of these kids, just like they see the women getting primary custody of these kids.
How is that true? In the vast majority of cases, men want primary custody? Like the kid is living with them? I don't believe you. I just don't believe it. Men are working full-time jobs? They're going to pay, what, like a babysitter full-time? Or... I don't think in the vast majority of cases. I have to see a number. I don't believe that. I super don't. The burden of childcare is so high. Like...
Destiny, when someone comes to me to tell me about their case, I don't write their information down and then submit it to the government so that there can be a study. You can choose to believe it or not believe it. That's why I'm telling you, your reliance on these studies. I understand if you say, well, this is all that we have. I get that. We're attorneys. We do not work for the government like that. We are not reporting to the government. We're trying to help these people out.
Sure, I don't disagree with you, but you're seeing a sliver of all the people in society.
I am seeing a sliver of all people in society. That is exactly right. And I have friends who practice and they see a sliver. And I have colleagues who practice and they see a sliver. And then we all get together at various times of the year and we take trainings with each other and they see a sliver. And then we take trainings with judges and these judges see a sliver. You're exactly right. It's all slivers. We can go down this road if you want to. We're experts at this. This is what we do for a living. It's a sliver if you want to. And it is, like, because we're not seeing every single case in
I'm just
the
saying.
entire
I'm just
world.
saying that, like, I mean, like, to use a criminal justice example, like, police officers see a sliver of young black men. Judges see a sliver of young black men. Correctional officers see a sliver of a. But if I ask all of these people, they're all going to tell me that young black men are criminals that are massively over-involved in, like, gang shootings and drug dealings, right? But even though all of them might say that, they're only intersecting with a very particular portion of society, right? So I understand that you, as an attorney that deals in family law with men that come to you to fight for custody, and other attorneys that deal with men that go to them for fighting for custodies, and then judges that are in family courts for people fighting for custodies. I agree that you guys even might all have like an opinion that all resonates with each other, but I don't know if that's reflective of the whole landscape of custody agreements, right? That's why I would like to see like information from like a court, are custody agreements all public, a matter of public record because it's all like filed in courts and everything, or?
I mean, it's public record, but no one is going to go through all of them and compile some data set because there's just so many.
Well, that.
Now, and let me be fair, because your point is an accurate point. If someone comes to me for their case, they're self-selecting in a lot of different categories, right? If someone comes to me and say, hey, I want to fight for my kid, that's a certain type of man. There are men who will never get married and who will have 5 and 6 kids, and they don't care if these fucking kids live or die. It's true. These types of men are not going to come to me and pay me a retainer. So you're right about that. And we can talk about the entire universe of men. Now, again, when we do that, it's complete conjecture, because these men who are having children with 5 and 6 kids, no one's studying them. No one's studying these men. These men are in the fucking shadows. You're not going to be able to get on ChatGPT and find out information about these men. So that's the issue that we're always going to run up against. You're always going to lean your perspective at running to Google and ChatGPT to try to find these 40-year-old studies.
I mean, I would rather run to Google than like an attorney, right?
Well, I mean, let's say that there's a war in Afghanistan, and you say, well, hey, I want to find out information about the battlefield. And you say, I want to go to Google. I don't want to talk to a general, or I don't want to talk to a corporal or a lieutenant who's actually on the fucking field. I don't want to talk to this soldier who's seeing things day in and day out for 20 years. Fuck him. That's anecdotal. I don't want to hear what he has to say. I want to see what Google says. What Google says 40 years ago about this war.
Well, I'm not listening to what Google says. I'm using Google to find like a comprehensive collection of data. But yeah, I would say the same thing there. If I were to ask somebody like, do you think the United States killed civilians in Iraq? Or do you think we conducted ourselves poorly in Afghanistan? No, I don't want to talk to a soldier or a corporal or even a general or whatever. No, I would rather what does the research say? What are international bodies that are in charge of collecting this type of information with multiple investigators on the ground? Or what is not a fact checker, the government organizations hold each other accountable. These would be the people I would go to, not like an individual soldier.
You say multiple investigators on the ground. That's my point. A multiple investigator on the ground, it's the same value as talking to a lieutenant that's on the ground. You're on the ground, you're on the ground.
I disagree, but we might just have like a epistemic
difference. Talking to an
difference.
investigator that's on the ground is different than talking to a soldier who's on the ground?
Yes, because the goal of an investigator should be to collect a wide variety of stories to try to amalgamate them into some sort of like comprehensive view of a situation, not just one person's experience.
One investigator is one person's experience.
No, it's one person collecting many people's experiences and then compiling that. That's the research part of it.
Well, if I'm an attorney and I work with numerous people over 20 years, do I not have a compilation of numerous people's experience?
You do, but it's hyper selected for. It's a high level of selection bias. Much the same way that if I was a police officer and when I was, in the Bronx all day on night patrol, my collection of interactions with minorities is probably going to be really, 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 really bad.
And if you're one investigator in one particular area, you don't have that same type of selection bias?
Ideally not, because researchers are supposed to actively...
That's the thing. Of course it's the same thing. If you're one person in one area, how do you have generalized information? You don't. It's not even making any sense. I understand why the hesitancy, the appropriate skepticism to delve into anecdotes, and their weight should not be given biblical authority. I absolutely agree with that. What I'm telling you is, in situations like this, there's the information that we need, the concrete information where we can say, okay, this is what we're going to rely on. This is the appropriate data. This is the data set that we can give 100% weight to. What I'm saying, Destiny, is that doesn't exist. All right. So,
well, I'm just curious. Do you not see the difference between an outside party coming in with an attempt to compile and collect data and then to sift through that in a way that is hopefully unbiased? Do you not see the difference between that person versus one person that's like one part of a system? Do you think that it's all just, since they're both human, they all count for the same thing? Just one person counts for one person, whether you're a researcher or just somebody that's part of that ground team?
If you're a researcher, to me, you're part of a system. For example, there are court officials that are called guardian ad litems, and their job is supposed to come in and talk to a woman, talk to a man, the mother and the father, talk to the school, talk to the pediatrician, and to give a recommendation on who should have custody. Okay? That person is what you would call, I guess in your analogy, a researcher, because the person doesn't have a dog in the fight. Mm-hmm. Right? This person, what I'm telling you, is biased because it's a human being.
Yeah, I'm not saying everybody has biases, but a researcher is aware of these and is hopefully trying to counteract these. Whereas when you're an attorney, like, you might play into biases because it's like favorable for you to do so, right? Your goals are very different. Right? Your goal as an attorney.
You're representing somebody.
Yeah, you're exactly representing somebody, and you're trying to represent them as best as they can. Like, you would be a shitty attorney if a client said, hey, I want to fight this case, and you're like, well, I Googled a study, and 42% of the time you're going to win, so I'm not going to, right? You wouldn't say that. You would probably, on the balance of all the facts, decide if you want to take on the client or not, right? And that would be your prerogative, and you should do that. But that role as being part of a system is fundamentally different than somebody that's brought in to analyze the system.
Roles are different to the extent that the lawyer in that specific case is representing somebody. That's true. Let's focus on me for example, right now. I'm not representing anybody. I'm just giving information. Okay? I don't see the difference between me and that researcher that you say. If you want to say that an attorney who is actively representing a father has a bias towards that father, I would agree. That's the attorney's job, to represent this father aggressively and zealously. I would agree with that. But what I'm telling you is, when you have these types of conversations about marriage and divorce, and you invite an attorney on, and the attorney is not representing anyone, this attorney is just letting you know what his experiences are. That attorney's opinion should be given a certain amount of weight. Now, in courts, they do this. They would give my opinion way more weight than they would give your opinion, for example. Even if you went to Google, even if you went to ChatGPT. I'm not sure in the defamation case.
Well, hold on. Firstly, are you talking about, like, if you're brought in as like an expert witness?
That's exactly right.
Sure. Okay. So
exactly
if that
right.
was the case, I mean, like, I don't know if you would be brought in as an expert witness just for being a lawyer. That's possible. But a lot of expert witnesses that are brought in are like the Googles that you're making fun of. They're people that do research, that have compilations of studies, that have talked to the Google and the ChatGPT.
I'm not sure if you're aware of what it takes to be classified as an expert witness in a court case. They look at your education. Mm-hmm. They look at your certifications. They look if you've taken any bar exam, for example, if you're talking to a lawyer. They're looking at your training. And then they're looking what you did for the past 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, 20 years.
Yeah.
And I promise you, if you have an attorney, for example, take me, who's been practicing in the area of family law for 20 years and has taken extensive training through each of those 20 years and has received a high level of education to prepare himself for that career of 20 years, that's absolutely an expert opinion.
Sure, in matters of like divorce proceedings and whatnot, or stuff that's related.
Exactly.
Sure. But I mean, like, so would like
right.
a psychologist being brought in, or somebody? No.
No.
Of course. What do you mean? Of course, psychologists can be expert witnesses in cases.
Well, in cases, absolutely. You said in divorce.
Oh, I'm sorry. In divorces, maybe not, unless it's some weird shit is coming up.
That's exactly right.
Okay.
You know, so this is what we're trying to talk about here. It's very specific. It's very granular. But what I'm telling you is that no one is a strong word, but when you have these types of I don't want to call them debates, but conversations where you say, hey, I looked at ChatGPT and I looked at Google and I did this for 48 hours and here's what I found. These types of studies, the presentation of these studies is not, never classify the expert opinion on these things, because these studies.
Well, but the expert opinion, part of it is based in like their education. It can be, depending on the type of expert witness it is.
So it's a part of it. That's exactly right. I had a guy on my channel that was saying some of the same, spouting some of the same statistics that I think you spout. And it was clear to me that he did not understand the statistics. You can go to Google. This is what a lot of people don't understand. You can go to Google and you can go to ChatGPT and you can see a statistic and you cannot understand its real significance. An expert will tell you if you are interpreting that statistic correctly or incorrectly. An expert will tell you why this statistic is important.
Sure, I agree with you. But if there's something I'm decontextualizing, not understanding, I'm always open to hearing that. I'm not one to just throw out a number. Like, I'm generally somewhat familiar with the studies I'm pulling this information from. If there's something I'm incorrect about, I'm welcome somebody to point out why something might be incorrect. Like in that video that I watched earlier, I don't know if you saw it, the lady said that actually that number was wrong and the study says something different. And I went through and I tried to read through where they got that from and I couldn't find it. But yeah, I mean, I'm not saying I'm perfect, but I feel like the response has to be more like, oh, this is why that number is incorrect, not, well, it's wrong because it's a study and we can't trust studies.
Yes, I think that's the latter part of your statement was kind of straw man, right? Because no one is saying it's a study and we can't trust studies. That's not my point. And I think you know that's not my point.
Well, it sounded like you were saying, because like a lot of this is self-reported, that a lot of the, like for the cheating example, for instance, you made it sound like we could never trust a study on cheating. I don't know if, or maybe I'm uncharitably interpreting you there, but you made it sound like, of course, these women are going to lie, so you can't trust any of that data.
What I'm saying is, if you have a study, you should look at the study, look at how the data was collected, look at the research methodologies, and you should assign it a certain amount of weight.
Sure.
That's all I'm saying, right?
Yeah.
And that weight could be 0, that weight could be 100%. What I'm saying is, some of these studies do not, and this is going to be up to individual reference. Some of these studies do not merit type of weight people citing these studies think that they merit. And I'm not saying this about you because I know that you research these things way more than most people who spout these statistics. But because you say, oh well, 70% of this or 80% of that. I would counsel against, not you, but just other people in this space, talk about these things, is just accepting the statistic on face value. That's where the gentleman that I was debating with got in trouble, because he started spouting statistics and he didn't understand what the statistics meant. He understood what they meant on a superficial level, but not on the real level, right? So when you say, oh, well, vast majority of men who fight for custody get some type of custody award, right? That just means that, I guess the men who aren't fighting for custody, they don't want their kids, because if they fought for custody, the statistics say that they would get their custody, right? That gentleman doesn't understand what these statistics mean. So it's nice to talk to somebody who's been in the field. Not necessarily me. There are tons of divorce attorneys around, right? You don't have to talk to me. You can talk to anybody. And my expert opinion on these things should be given a certain amount of weight, but that doesn't mean it should be given more or less than another expert opinion's testimony or viewpoints on these subjects. What I'm saying is, you should certainly give it more credit than people spouting off statistics that they don't understand. That's all I'm saying.
Okay. All right. Well, hey, listen, if you ever come up with anything or have like a thing that is pushing back against any of my points, I mean, I'd always be interested in seeing it, but like I said, until then, I feel like
that's what you're saying. You're seeing you'd be interested in seeing it. You're interested in seeing these studies. Listen, if you think that there are studies, let me ask you. How helpful do you think these studies are when you're talking about things like marriage and divorces? How
I mean, they have limited effectiveness, but it's the only thing I can go by. And people are making incredibly strong claims on the other side with no data. So I'm going to rest on the little bit that I have, of course, to push back at least against the extremely unfair characterizations from the other side.
I'll take that all day. If you just, that right there, hey, these studies have limited effectiveness, but if that's all that I have to push back on, I'll use it. I think that's absolutely fine. I think that's great. Yeah. But when you say that, it seems when you talk, or when you say, hey, listen, these studies that I'm claiming or these studies that I'm using, honestly, they have limited effectiveness, but that's what I have, so that's what I'm going to go on, right?
Sure, but I literally said that multiple times. It's like, the research is hard, there's not much data in this area, and here's a study from 19... I feel like I said it verbatim like 5 times, I think I said.
Well, it's interesting. I guess what I'm saying is because that energy that you just said is not translated into the rant that you had 30 minutes ago.
Sure, because I'm pushing back against the insane caricature that women are clawing their children away from fathers because they hate the dads or they're after child support. That characterization is wild.
Right, but
and I feel like in almost every area where somebody say like, well, trust me, look at the experience. Well, trust me, look at the experience. If I were to ask, before the red pill came along and rotted men's minds, if I were to ask the vast majority of people in 2015, why do you think most dads aren't present in their children's lives? What do you know of like single moms and single parent households? The vast majority say, oh, they probably pumped it and dumped it. They probably hit it and quit it. They probably just don't give a fuck about their kid. Like, that's what you saw in TV shows. That's what you see in pop culture. That's what you see in neighborhoods and homes. Like, most people say that. But now, since the red pill has come along and it's spun a totally different narrative out of thin air, that there are all these poor fathers, and there are some. I'm sure there are some. But that, like, all these fathers desperately want to be involved in their children's lives now, and it's just the evil women's keeping them from it. Of course, I'm going to push back violently against that narrative. It's insane, and there's nothing to substantiate that. I'll take my 1990 study in Massachusetts over these completely fabricated claims that I can't find in any source or any data or anything anywhere.
Do you think the majority of men get the amount of involvement with their children that they want?
Do the majority of men get the involvement that they want? Over 50%, I would say. I mean, like, if the ideal is that the mom and dad are still together and they got 100% custody, I mean, then I would say that neither the majority of moms or dads probably get what they want in that case. But I would probably lean towards yes in your question. In terms of like working at an arrangement that's as good as it can be and is like a reasonable acceptance between both parties, I'd say probably over 50%. That'd be my guess, yeah. Or wait. Hold on, let me qualify that a little bit more. Are you saying of like separated families or like all families or like what?
Men who are not living with the mother.
Men who are not living with the mother.
Some type of custody arrangement.
My guess would be, yeah, I would lean to the majority do. Yeah.
Majority of men
are satisfied with like their custodial arrangements with their mom.
Right.
Yeah.
We would also say that the majority of men don't have primary custody of their kids, right?
Correct.
So the majority of men who don't have primary custody of their kids, they have some type of visitation. Right?
If they want it, yeah.
They want it.
I don't know if the majority of men that don't have any custody are involved at all. I'm not sure how many are completely absent the picture, like had an oops baby and then just like exited the picture entirely. Because like I know, for instance, I hate to do the stat thing, but I know, for instance, that I'm pretty sure less than 50% of mothers even receive their full child support payments. So I don't know how many are like actively involved or want to be involved or just wanted to like get out as much as possible. Why? What do you think the number is? Do you think that of separated households, what percentage of dads do you think have what they would consider like an acceptable custody arrangement with the mom? What would your guess be?
Acceptable? Well, I had asked if they had gotten as much as they wanted. You're saying if they have an acceptable amount, and those two are different. An acceptable amount, I would probably say, around 50%. That feel that it's acceptable.
Gotcha. When you say wanted, what's like the difference there? What do you think? Like wanted as in like trading?
Listen, when I was 18, I had a job, and I wanted them to pay me $100 an hour, but they ended up paying me $12 an hour. I thought 12, well, fine, it's acceptable. It's not what I wanted, but it's acceptable. That's the difference between having something that's acceptable and having something that you want. It's my view, talking to all these men would like more custody, right? But
well, for the ones you're talking to, I would imagine, because you're literally a family court attorney, right? A guy that's happy with his custodial arrangements is never talking to you, right?
Oh, that's not true. There are a lot of men who are happy with their custodial arrangements, but they need divorce attorneys for other matters, specifically money. Just because you're happy with the custodial arrangement doesn't mean you're happy with the amount of child support. It doesn't mean that you're happy with the amount of alimony. It doesn't mean that you're happy with the amount of property division. There are a lot of other components to a divorce than
Sure,
custody.
I agree, but in general, like the people that are going towards you are going to be people that are unhappy with some aspect, maybe not just custody, but they're going to be unhappy with some aspect of the separation of their relationship.
Correct. That's exactly right. They're going to be unhappy, or not necessarily be unhappy, but they're going to be ignorant about how things should go. A lot of times people will come to me, let's say your wife serves you with a complaint for divorce and you didn't see it coming. You're like, well, shit, I just got this complaint for divorce. The first page says I have to respond in 30 days. So here I am in front of you. Help me out. They're not necessarily unhappy with any particular part of their case. They just don't know what to do. That's where I come in.
Sure.
So, people come to us for so many different reasons. And again, that's why I think it's so great that we're having these conversations so I can explain this stuff to you. Now, this stuff is not in Google. It's not in ChatGPT. It's just not there. We don't report to them. So I think having these conversations is so great. And I love talking to people who I think are balanced, who I think are not... I use the word grifted, and that's a huge word right now for the past month that I have 2 months. Everybody's talking about grifting, right?
Uh-huh.
People who enter into these conversations with good faith. You see a lot of situations in the past, 3 or 4 weeks with the red pill and the manosphere community, and it doesn't look like these conversations are entered into in good faith at all. So I think it's awesome that we can have these types of conversations and really put some information out there that'll help people. But I just wanted to jump on. Thank you for having me on, and shout out to Albert as well. You guys are absolutely killing it. I loved your debate with Sneeko and Fresh and Fit. I was amazed at the Rolo guy couldn't give the definition of a high value man, considering I think that's one of his fundamental tenets that he was teaching about. And I thought the way that you and Sneeko handled it was excellent. The fact that he tried to all these red herrings, and he tried to divert the conversation into different areas, and you guys did not move. You guys made him give you a definition of high value man, and he couldn't do it. And as an attorney, that's one of the things that I love when people do. They stick on a point and they don't waver and they don't move off. So many times when men argue with women, because women tend to think so much differently, and they'll think in a way that's more comprehensive, the way their brain is wired. They'll think of a lot of different things, and a man will try to pin a woman down on a particular argument, and the woman will, she's on point A, and then she's on point B, and then she's on point C, and nothing ever gets resolved. And I just love the way that you and Sneeko would not move from point A. I thought it was amazing. I was, and this is coming from a fucking attorney. All I do my whole entire career is argue. But I thought you guys, I was so overjoyed by watching that.
Well, thanks. It was an interesting conversation. Have you ever chatted with Sneeko before?
No, I've never chatted with him. And to be honest, I was surprised at his take on it. Because I never chatted with him, and I'll be honest, I hadn't watched a lot of his content. I was thinking he was more on the other side. I was associating him more with the whole Andrew Tate type. I don't know. I thought he was more red pill.
He was, but now he's like trad pilled. He's like Islam pilled, so.
Yeah, so a lot of people are changing up. I think I saw that even Andrew Tate and his brother, they're like, no, don't call us red pills or whatever. I don't know.
Uh-huh.
Everybody's moving around. But at any rate, I just wanted to tell you that I thoroughly enjoyed that conversation, and particularly that part about both you and Sneeko being resolute and not moving on. Because if anybody goes back and watches that, you will see how so many times the role guy kept trying to divert the conversation, into other areas. And the fact that you guys wouldn't let him up, I thought that show was amazing. So,
Yeah.
Great job on that. But at any rate, thank you for having me up here. And I don't know if you guys ever want an opinion from somebody who has a little different perspective on this stuff, I'm always around. But I appreciate you having me up here, Destiny.
Yeah, no problem. This, if you scroll up in my Discord, you have notables. You can always join this room, the Destiny's room. If you have to scroll up past a lot of the other ones, the tier 1, tier 2, all the waiting rooms, and you'll see this one. You can left click and join anytime. So.
Oh, is it the Destiny GG one room? I don't know. I'm so fucking old, man.
Oh, if you click the Destiny GG Discord server on the left, and then you just scroll down the rooms, you'll see something that says Destiny's room, where we're both in.
Oh, excellent.
Okay.
All right.
Well,
listen, thank you so much, Destiny. I really appreciate it.
Thanks a lot. I appreciate the conversation.
Bro.
Have a good one, man.